never give up. I never give up. I never give up.
Hi guys, welcome back to my Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Today is another fantastic day for an interview, and I've got Andrea Epting with me. And we too are asking the question, is it possible to live until you're 100 and do so with passion and with joy and going out there and grabbing the days and give them a French kiss in the morning and say, yes, come on, let's do something. Can we do that? Is it possible? And guess what? We both believe we can. And we want to share our secrets, and we want to finally unveil it, that it is possible to live a beautiful life till high in the age. And we give you all the tricks today. Andrea, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about living forever.
That's right. And it is. You could, of course, ask a question with such a world, with climate change, with COVID, pandemics, with closer to nuclear annihilation than ever. Who wants to live forever? I actually raise the devil's advocate's point of view. Yes, I do. Because I love my life. I love it nowadays. I've lived too long in the darkness in the past. So nowadays, I want to kick ass. I want to live long. And I know we're just in a preamble, we talked a bit about our passion, the food, and our passion, the lifestyle. You come from the place where it all happens, the Mediterranean, isn't it?
That's right. That's right. I am half Greek and half Italian, so 100% Mediterranean.
Mamma mia.
In my blood and my ancestry. And yeah, I do believe that they have a wonderful diet and a wonderful way to not just, lengthen life, but live life to the fullest. And I think that's what it's all about, is having a life worth living and having all that meaning and all of that passion and all of that purpose that makes you want to go on and live not just a long life, but the next day.
That's true. Sometimes we think, just one day I will. One day I might use that exercise. One day I might eat a green leaf of sorts.
Yeah, I mean, and that one day needs to be now if we want to have a long and healthy life.
So true. Now, my passion for that lifestyle really only sort of came about, I guess, end of last year, start of this year, because prior to that, I thought I had eaten healthy and I was going out there. And then I thought, actually, let's put my money where my mouth is. And so this year I embarked on a journey in functional medicine. And so I started learning, really deep diving in that stuff. And it was, that is my journey. And I'm so excited about it. I loved it. And I still love it. Every day I'm learning more things. How did you start on your journey to exploring the best ways to become the new you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I believe that is part of a recovery journey for probably every human being. If you start a recovery journey at some point, diet and body movement and health, and hopefully people dive into functional medicine. I love that you mentioned that, but all of that is going to be a very natural part of that process. And I know that it was for me. So there were like a lot of stages and phases, I guess, of a health journey for me. And it definitely started for me as a result of a really significant trauma that I experienced. It was a body betrayal trauma that I experienced that then resulted in a massive weight gain and just, dis-ease and disease, and just a lot of unhealthy coping that came out of it. And so like my journey of health, as has happened for a lot of people, came out of sickness and just hitting kind of a bottom there. And so I shifted. And when I did so, in my recovery journey, food and nutrition and diet and body movement became part of that. And I've definitely, like you, found a lot of different areas that I'm very excited about and interested in. And I've always been an adventurous person anyway. And so like food is going to be part of that too. Like I want to try everything, and I want to make sure that I'm doing things that make sense for my now and my future.
Beautiful, beautiful. When did that transformation start? When was that key event?
Yeah, my key event was in 2009.
Right.
I went in for a day surgery, and 3 years later could barely recognize myself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so in all those ways, bankrupt as a result of a medical trauma, and then gave opportunity for traumatic growth and new birth. And
Shit.
so, yeah, I would say 2009. Yeah.
Shit. In
Shit. Yeah.
the when I live in New Zealand, where we have got a very healthy medical compensation scheme. In other words, if there is a medical mishap, then this is like a treatment-related injury claim that is covered by our ACC, by the provider here. So there are no medical or no financial direct consequences to the people. I assume there was nothing like that with you.
There was nothing like that, and there is no plan like that in the United States of America that I am aware of. Here, unfortunately, for the people, maybe not unfortunate for the medical industry or for the legal industry, but you have to press charges in order to be compensated for all of the subsequent damages and expenses that come out of a medical injury. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. Well, that is causing a reset. I don't know what could be more traumatic in stopping your life. 3 years, how did your mood cope during that time?
My mood. Ooh. My mood I wasn't coping. And if I was coping, I was gravitating towards, unhealthier ways to try to alter my mood or my reality. My mood became very depressed for the first time in my life. I don't have a history of depression, not in my family and not in my history, but very, very deep depression. I remember for the first moment that I had ever experienced in my life, having suicidal ideation and thoughts of not waking up, not ending my life, but the thoughts of what a relief it would be if I didn't wake up. And I had 3 instances where I almost didn't wake up again, where I could have, lost my life permanently, but I didn't. God had other plans for me. So my mood definitely went into a place of depression. And then I think in the recovery process, my anger saved me from my depression, because I was able to then go into that place of anger and rage. And I needed that to move me into action and into recovery. So I'm very grateful to my anger for pulling me out of that.
Oh, beautiful. The survivor came out, the fighter came out.
That's right.
Cool. Okay. That's the first time in my life that I heard anger as being a positive thing. But I love it. I take it. I take it.
I love anger when I embrace and love my anger. I love all my emotions. I love all of my feelings. I love what they communicate to me when I spend time in them and I attune to them and I listen to them. And this was a time when I was like, my anger is very loud and clearly demands to be heard. and when I leaned into it saved me. And I think that our feelings do sweep in to do that and rescue us in our times of need.
That's very true. If we use them for what they are, if we try to actually feel them, experience them, and see them as the messengers that they are from our body.
That's right.
Beautifully said. Okay. Wow. So you went onto the battle or into the battle. You said you were at times not coping so well. May I venture, I guess, that maybe alcohol had a little bit of a role to play, and maybe emotional overeating had a bit of a role to play?
Oh, absolutely. Both of those. Those are great guesses. Although I don't think they're a guess. I mean, I think, when you're bed bound
Yeah.
for 3 years, overeating becomes an easy way to numb and to mood alter.
Mm.
And it's not even always overeating, it's that you're not able to move.
Touche.
And
Touche.
so, and
Yeah.
frankly, sometimes it's the only thing you have to look forward to in the day when you're bed bound.
Exactly.
So that definitely became part of it, where I definitely noticed, that scale tipped into that, oh my gosh, there's so much more risk and hurt coming out of these behaviors than there is any potential reward.
Nice.
So I definitely noticed that scale tipping. And definitely, I mean, I noticed that my relationship to alcohol did change. I don't know how much more I was drinking, although I think when I did drink, I could drink more. And in my reaction to alcohol, and therefore my relationship to it looked different. My mood would shift, and I never had that before. So I
Shift to the
definitely
better or
noticed.
shift?
No, to the worse. Like alcohol would affect my mood, and I never really experienced that previously before this trauma.
Right.
But following the trauma, and my brain was rewired by that trauma, I definitely experienced alcohol differently. I experienced my relationship to it and food, and some other things definitely changed.
Well, that can be a blessing in disguise, because ultimately it is other way around. It is far more tricky, because if suddenly alcohol actually becomes a positive thing for you, if it takes away the pain, if it makes you forget, if it gives you a positive, just a brief moment of relief from your emotional pain, well, your brain says, cool. There's 5 seconds now. That's more important to me than the 12 hours of hangover I've got later. So therefore, it could have been more that.
Oh, it could, if I didn't have the background that I already had, I can only thank God for that.
Yeah.
I was already a master's addictions counselor.
Right.
I had at least the intelligence in place, the psychoeducation in place, and the experiences in place that said, oh, I'm going to be very susceptible to this, and watch out.
Very
And I
nice.
was able to
Very
recognize
nice.
it early, be mindful of it. Of course, there were times, at least initially, that I was in denial about it, because yeah, you're right. It was like, well, this feels good. It's a brief escape. But then I was able to recognize it, and ultimately it led to sobriety from alcohol as well. I would have considered myself, and still do consider myself, a sober, curious individual. And I have not had a drink in multiple years, 3+
Nice.
years now.
Nice.
It took a while, but I was like, you know what? Since my brain definitely does react differently to alcohol, and so does my body. My body didn't really enjoy it either, so I just discontinued it.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. And it is a journey, isn't it? This was not one key event and then everything changed to the worse or to the better. Well, actually, for the key event, for you to suddenly get thrown off your hamster wheel and suddenly think, what the, there was a key event. Okay, I give you that. But having said that, all the learning that then happens, all the growth that then happens, like in so many other guests, and I guess in me, that growth takes many years to actually manifest itself. With you, it was probably a bit faster because you pointed out to the fact that you had all the training, the knowledge, the exploration into the psychology, which is great. You could say I had the same from being a doctor, knowing a lot of things about the psychology, etc. Yet I was still run by my reptilian brain and by my inability to, or my lack of willingness to feel my emotions. So I was escaping, and at times I still do. I think my work ethics are very, very high, which could be translated as I'm a workaholic. Which could be exactly.
Yeah.
Which could
There's
be
a few different words for that. Yes.
which of course could be seen as I run away from the problems in my private life by throwing myself in my work. Yeah, there could be an element of that. So I think we addicts are
Well, I mean, like the pathways are primed, right?
Exactly right. At least nowadays you could say I do something sensible, not maybe self-destructive. Okay, no, that's cool. But we actually wanted to talk about where we are now, but we need to go to the history to understand where we are now. And why we are so passionate about life, because you have been in the darkness. I can't imagine darker times, because you didn't know when things will get better. You didn't know if they could not get worse. So this must have been a brutal time. At some stage, things got better. How did they get better?
Yeah. I think one of the things I want to highlight is that I did allow myself to be in that very deep, dark place. I was able at different parts of that to give myself grace in being there. So I allowed myself to feel all of that pain and all of that grief and all of that loss. And I was able eventually, now this took a lot of time and there was a lot of denial around this part, but I was able to accept that my life would never, ever resemble the life that I had before. That was very, very hard for me to come to that place of acceptance and then eventually embrace that, I'm never going to be that person ever again. And how can I become actually a better version of myself, since I'm not going to resemble the woman that I once was in many ways. And so that was tough to break through that denial and fully feel all that grief and all of that loss and all of that hurt and all of that pain, and then emerge and have that space that's like, I can't ever be her. And I don't know. And at some point there was again another tipping of the scales. It was like, you know what? I don't think I ever want to be her again. I didn't need or want this, but it changed me in a way that I wouldn't give it back.
Yeah.
And so then I was able to like embrace that and kind of like just, I don't know, start that process of growth. And I think that was the process for me.
Okay. The problem with medical medical diseases or trauma, physical trauma that affects your body, is that often enough we throw in antibiotics to beat infections. We throw in times of starvation. We throw in, your nutrition goes pear-shaped alongside of many other things. Your body has requirements that we typically don't fulfill. So there is the nutritional depletion happening around about that time. My goodness, a lot of things would have gone really, really hard in your body. How did you
because there was that physical damage in the sense that when I was unconscious, and I have to say I was unconscious, therefore a completely unconsenting human being. When I was unconscious and under, I had my uterus removed without my consent or permission. I had my bladder completely nicked and my ureter completely severed. And after that, I had to undergo multiple ureter reimplantations. I almost lost my left kidney. I had to have a nephroscopy tube. I had to learn how to, my bodies are amazing things, but my body had this amazing idea of how to reroute my urine through my body. No longer went out through my urethra though. So just like all of this stuff was going on during this time. And so you talk about and then I also had a lot of leakage into the abdominal cavity. So when you talk about like stomach issues, bladder issues, like pelvic floor issues, like so many things came out of that. And so yeah, I mean, it wreaks havoc on your
Mm,
body.
mm,
And so a lot of different symptoms and dis-ease and
mm.
disease comes out of that. Yeah, it did
Bloody
for me.
hell. How did you get back in the driver's seat? How did
Hmm.
you take back control? What was the journey there?
You mentioned that process earlier, and I want to say this to whomever's listening or to the community, that, if you're following. Um, I couldn't get back there until I felt I had held the people accountable that
Mm,
did that to
mm,
me.
mm,
And until that legal process was over, that's when I started to come out of it.
mm,
So I don't know if that helps, but
mm, mm,
I needed to go through that part of that journey first, and that was really when my anger was leading me into action. And once I came
mm,
through that, I knew that I could release it.
mm,
I could give it back. I could no longer carry it. I could break any bondage or any tether that I had to others or any blame that I had for
mm,
myself or anybody else.
mm,
But that was when it turned around for me, but
mm.
it couldn't turn around until some other things were accomplished first.
Brilliant. Okay. And that is again, this is where your body was going from victim to survivor. The survivor is
Right.
focused on one thing. In your case, with
Hmm.
the anger, getting oh, the getting it sorted in your head, finding the
Right.
culprit and holding him accountable. And that's fair call. But
Mhm.
then what? It's the same with sobriety. Okay, now you stop drinking. So what? Okay, now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And so for me, like, especially when you equate it to like the recovery journey, because it is a recovery journey.
mhm,
I mean, I'm very mindful when I'm talking to people to be very clear that like there's a recovery and a healing journey from so many things,
mm,
when it comes to physical health, when it comes to mental health, when it comes
mm,
to, addictions. So any type of chemical addiction, behavioral addiction,
mm,
emotional insobriety, right? I mean, so like there is that recovery process and yeah, I mean, I feel like I had to go through that journey
mm.
and everybody does. Everybody has to walk through that.
I mean, here you were, after 3 years, you lost your job, you lost your sense of who you are, you lost a lot of money. Now, typically, what many of us are saying,
I
put
lost
now,
my ability to have
and
kids, more
well, yeah,
kids,
touche,
because that was taken,
touche,
There was
touche.
because there's always going to be a familial cost.
Mm, sure.
Because thank God I had people who loved me, but when I'm hurting, the
Mm,
people who love me hurt too. So it was that cost as well. Mhm.
ouch, but beautifully said. The Now, what I was thinking about, we normally recommend, find people, find your tribe, create a power team where you are the dumbest person in the team, and let others who are further down the path guide you
Mhm.
and help you. So that is sort of the principle that most of us are sure will get you the best results and the fastest
Right.
results, instead of you trying to reinvent the wheel and trying things out, that
Mhm.
may or may not help you. But here you were probably, financially strapped. Um, did you have people who encouraged you, who guided you, who helped you?
Mhm. I did. I did. I've been blessed to have because I'm with you. Community is key. You know,
Mm,
connection is the opposite of addiction. And I was blessed to have a community around me in
mm,
place, and not just like a familial support system,
mm,
but a community in through my church,
mm,
um, great teammates and people from my work who were
mm,
supportive of me, good friendships that I'd had forever.
mm,
My husband who showed up in, the biggest way possible to support me through this and to support, our the young kiddos that we did have
Mm.
during the time that I couldn't. So yeah, I mean, I was very blessed to have that support, and I believe that community is the key, and connection and relationship is what healing
Mm.
is about.
Mm.
And I did have that in place.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And to
Uh,
your point earlier, when you were talking, I'm sorry to go backwards,
no,
but to your point earlier, when you were talking about, addiction, there were a few like isms that came up for me. And you were talking about how, well, I did have at least the psychoeducation in place, or I had the formal training and all of that. But some of the isms that came up for me is, yeah, it's really hard to have, a head full of AA and a belly full of alcohol, and,
ooh, ooh.
and that was one of the things that kind of came up for me. It was like, yeah, like it felt good to numb, but when you have all of that information in your head, it doesn't feel that good for long because you
Love
know
it.
what you're doing.
Love it.
And I tell my clients when they walk through the door, and one of the first things they say is, I just want to know why I do what I do, but I want to quit drinking. I want to quit drugging. I want to quit acting out sexually. Okay. I could say, it takes like a great deal of not just want to, but willingness on your part. But this is what I can guarantee for me. I will take all the fun out of it. I can't make you stop doing it, but I'll take all the fun out of it.
Sure. No,
Because that's
funny.
what that information does. It's like,
That's true. That's true. But also, I think it is sometimes quite good for us to go again through hard times, to maybe lapse in our own judgments, maybe fall back into old lifestyle, because it reminds you very actively. I loved the thought, head full of AA, belly full of wine. I love it. It is. I recently went through very traumatic times, and I had a little bit of a lapse there. I sort of thought, "Oh, fuck it, I'll have a bottle of wine. That's my right." That kind of bullshit. Yeah. And my goodness, it was good. And to experience again the effect of the alcohol, and that fleeting moment of, oh, that's nice, and then compared with the guilt, the shame, the 12-hour, 24-hour hangovers, it's just bullshit. So it's actually sometimes you need to go one step back to go two steps forward, and that's
absolutely.
And
I believe that lapse and relapse, even slips, lapses, relapses, is part of a recovery process. Like,
indeed,
it's part of recovery. I mean, like,
that's very true.
Probably going to happen.
Indeed. I mean, it's 80% chance in your first year that will happen. And for those of you who are in early recovery out there, congratulations if it just has happened to you, because now you've figured out what did not work, and you can figure out, okay, where did I not pay attention to looking after myself? Because, it's beautiful to actually to explore that and hold the mirror in front of your face, switch the lights bright on, and actually say, what has actually occurred there?
The after action reviews have so much value.
Isn't it?
The after action reviews, just going back through, because the lapse happens so far before the relapse. The lapse in thinking, the lapse in judgment, just, I'm not going to my meetings, I'm not showing up this way and that. Like, when you do the after action review, you're like, oh my gosh, like I was actually in a lapse 3 months ago.
Very nice.
It took me a long time to drink because I've got all this willpower and I've got all this time in, but I was not showing up in recovery.
And it's okay. There will always be times which are rough, and which are maybe new trauma is coming along, new things are happening, which maybe overwhelm all the good work that you have done, all the defenses that you have built to protect yourself. And that's okay. This is life is dynamic, and you can write the best screenplay the moment the camera goes on and you've got only one take. Hey, things will go pear-shaped. Okay, so no. So the reality is, I mean, we must accept that life is a is a bitch. Life can be extremely challenging. And I'm actually convinced somewhere up there are all the gods sitting there, Buddha, Krishna, God, Jesus, they're all having a good time. Allah, everyone is sitting up there, looking down there, thinking, look at Stefan. Look what he's thinking. Look, he's thinking he's doing well. Guys, what shall we do? What shall we do? And then they come up with something. And it is, I don't know. Chicken shit. No, we had that ages ago. Monkeypox. No, we had that. Okay, avian flu. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's bring that out again. Come on, new trauma. Yes. That is the reality. So shit will happen. And you might fall back to behaviors that are not so great. But the question is, how do we get back onto our path? Yes,
Absolutely.
we've slipped. So what are the things that you nowadays feel are giving you the most value for money? What would you recommend someone? What are the habits that you try to instill first in someone to help them get better?
Yeah. So one of the things that really stands out for me, we mentioned community before, but with community comes accountability. And when you talk about like what gets you back on the horse the quickest is not being isolated from others, being involved in community. Let people miss you, let people notice you're not there, let people find you, let people reach out. I think that's huge is, when you allow yourself to be accountable to others. I think there's also a way to hold yourself accountable. I think that being accountable to not just recovery, but I think recovery is your healthy habits. What are the things that you have put into place that keep you healthy and happy and away from a slip, away from a lapse?
Beautiful.
And so like, that's what it's about for me. It's about, what is my AM routine? What is my PM routine? What are the things that I make sure are part of my self-care practices? What are the healthy habits that I've put in place so that I'm accountable?
And I think that is so beautifully said. And we are talking now overall schemes, overall plans, I guess, daily plans, daily habits. That's true. But I mean, for me, going very practical, HALT is still one of the key things. Hungry, angry,
lonely, tired.
Exactly right.
I add in bored, sad, and stressed.
Oh, yes, but that doesn't fit so well. Bored, sad, and stressed. Hold.
Yeah.
We need to find something better there. But you're right.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could say hungry for interaction, hungry for a real life. So yeah, you could twist it.
And I believe like HALT those are going to be your key triggers, right? And so what are you doing every day to set boundaries with those triggers is the question. So like, are you eating regularly hungry? Are you nourishing your body on a regular basis? Are you angry? Is your trauma creeping up? Are you in therapy? Are you joining a community? Like, how are you taking care of yourself mentally and emotionally? Are you lonely? Well, are you connected? Are you engaged in a community? Like, one of the things that I track every day is how many people did you reach out to genuinely and sincerely wondering how are they doing and what can you do to support them? That's connection. And so are you lonely? Are you tired? Like, are you getting adequate sleep? Like what does your sleep hygiene look like?
Exactly.
Take care of your sleep hygiene, take care of your hygiene. Those are part of self-care practices. So it's like when you take HALT and you reverse engineer it, like you're setting boundaries with those things.
Beautiful.
So it's not like, I noticed after I was triggered if I was hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Well, by then it's too late. You might have taken a drink.
And that's so interesting because all those things that we are sort of saying here is for those of you in the recovery process who are a little bit further down the line, all that. Guess what? We started this interview with asking, how do we actually turn 100 years old and live with a passion? And when you now look at the parallels there, then these are exactly the things that your body requires. There are the Healthy 8, which basically the cardiovascular disease prevention program, really that revolutionized sort of this century. Prior to 2010, there was the focus on heart, and then the heart, coronary arteries that bring oxygen to the heart. So if you just put a stent in there or give you just that right tablet, then miraculously everything is fine. In 2010, things got a bit changed, and actually powers to be realized that's actually bullshit. We need to go away from the multi-pill where we just put a statin, some beta blocker, some aspirin, put it all magically in a pill, and that will cure you, towards let's actually teach you how to live your life, teach us the habits that we need. And that includes the exercise, the sleep, the good nutrition. And suddenly you have got to focus on actually lifestyle. And
That's right.
as part of the lifestyle, you have got suddenly a very different focus. We're not talking a diet. I hate that word. Diet is actually something that you do for a short period of time. And it's not for nothing that there is the word die in there, because every diet needs to die because most of them you can't sustain. So I'd rather call it a food plan. So the Mediterranean food plan is a beautiful thing. And with Mediterranean food plan, I don't mean that you have tiramisu and a bottle of red wine in the morning for breakfast. Okay, so both of them are from the Mediterranean, but no, your Mafrodafne from
that sounds lovely.
Yeah, that's my old life. Okay, I can attest to that. It is lovely. It's sort of, you go into that kind of sugar up and down rush. Oh my God. No,
That's right.
Nowadays the Mediterranean food plan, and I live it, I breathe it, I do it, is basically the colors of the rainbow. Not drinking, that doesn't mean red and white wine, no. And vodka in between. When I say healthy things, it's not grapes and the fermented products of potatoes and grain. No, I'm talking about
That's
real
right.
leaves and healthy stuff, and lots and lots of veggies. The fish, ideally sea fish, plus your chicken. That's fine. Less red meat. And, do the slow carbs, if you do carbs at all, do healthy stuff. And that is sort of a path that gives you the best chances forward. We nowadays understand that virtually 80-90% of diseases are nutrition related, and fueled by our shit diet, by SAT, really. What do you think about SAT?
What do I think about SAD?
SAD means, for those of you not knowing, standard American diet.
I think that SAD is sad. That's what I think. I mean, there's a reason that it's called what it's called.
Yeah.
But the standard American diet is it's not about fueling your body. It's not about nutrition. It's not about nourishment. It's not about something that's sustainable. It's about getting something quick and fast that's going to, burn out quickly. I mean, it's just it's unhealthy. And it's not about listening to your body. It's not about noticing what it needs. It's not about making sure that you're choosing whole foods that color your plate in such a beautiful way that you're just like nutrition when you see it. Oh, yeah. There is something like when you see it, it, because it's like, oh my gosh, there are all the colors of the rainbow on my plate. I've got vegetables, like 3 or 4 vegetables, and I've got these 2 fruits, and I've got fish, or I've got some chicken, or I've got something that's exciting to me, something that's like, I'm excited to eat this and my body is excited to have it and it's going to use it well.
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know, because isn't that what it's about? It's not about like you said, the word diet. It's not about restricting,
Exactly.
that's not what it's about at all. It's about adding, it's about nourishment, it's about richness and fullness. So yeah, it's definitely not about taking away.
And day again, it's so important, going back to the importance of diet in the sobriety process, because we have got denuded our body of some very important vitamins. As alcoholics, the vitamin B complex is shit. Vitamin D is atrocious in most people out there. Your hormones are out of kilter. Now you're throwing the fast sugars in there, which give you a sugar rush, and then next moment crashing down, which basically, how much more anxiety and depression would you like as triggers, So for us, who are mentally, or who have a mental health challenge, oh boy, your standard American diet will be doing everything to make that work.
Well, that SAD, or standard American diet, it causes mental health issues as well. I mean, it's so like you can look at the chicken or the egg, I guess, all day long, but that type of diet will contribute to anxiety and depression and, fatigue and, all of these things that you're experiencing mentally and emotionally and physically. And because it's on a physiological level too.
Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
It's just showing up in all of those ways.
Absolutely. And it's so beautiful. So there we are, by you just learning how to cook and learning how to prepare your food and learning maybe how to grow your food. With that, I don't mean you to now be a homesteader, although if that is what you desire to be, maybe might be the solution for you. But virtually everyone can have a garden, and you can have on your balcony, on your rooftop, you can grow veggies. So to actually take an interest in your food and learn more about it and just explore that part of your life. Now that adds at least 5 years, at least. And I dare to say more. Give an example here with me. I should be dead by now, based upon my genetics, based upon the history of my father, my direct biological father, who died of his 5th or 6th heart attack in the early 60s, in his early 60s. I thought, nah, with my lifestyle that I had in the past, oh boy. So I did a coronary scanning. And I've got coronaries, the blood vessels of the heart. They are like a baby. They're absolutely pristine. Now, that has certainly nothing to do with my genes, which must be shit. It has nothing to do with my previous life, because that was shit. It's my current life, where I'm actually looking after myself and where I'm actually trying to live, to be the better person, also nutritionally. And you can undo some of the damage that has been done in the past. So the past does not equal the future.
Thank you. Absolutely. And I know we're kind of going full circle here, but our body wants us well, and it will repair, it will recover, it wants to be restored. I mean, it wants to work with you if you'll work with it. And so I feel like that is so encouraging to know that, like, you might have done damage to the body, and the body might have done damage to you. It depends. But either way, there is so much room for recovery and then some when you change your lifestyle, one day at a time, but when you start to live a different lifestyle. Yeah.
Exactly. The sleep you have pointed to, and we are so bad in it. But nowadays, we have got tools that maybe even 10 years ago, or certainly a generation ago, they didn't have. I'm wearing one right now, a smartwatch. My smartwatch is connected to my mobile. I can see exactly what my sleep is like, and I actually monitor my sleep quality and quantity. And nowadays, I'm fiercely protective of my sleep, and that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, because it means that it is just, and I fell again, last 2 years were shit times for me. So I fell back into a bit of a rhythm where I was watching television maybe until 10, 11. And I like criminal series. So it was always, something going on. That was certainly not conducive to actually something. So I made the very conscious decision, no, come on, man, you can do better. So again, I created a habit of not having my computer on in bed, of actually reading something or doing something that calms me down. I've recently embarked on becoming a breathing coach. Now, it's unlikely that I will ever do that I'm actually ever coaching someone. But I wanted
breath
to know.
work is so great. Breath
it
work
not?
is amazing. Yes, it's
Exactly.
great
So
stuff.
that is stuff. So there are things that you can learn. There is enough time. We all have got the same seconds in a day. And if you focus on you and you focus on creating the habits and becoming curious how you can be a new person, then you are like Andrea. Then you are like her, basically growing, having been in the darkness and exploding now into the light and saying, okay, I've been there, don't want to go back. Okay, what do I need to do to have a life where I have fun, where I feel good? And that's beautiful. And with that, I believe we can turn 100 and celebrate. And poor old Queen, if you're living in an English-speaking country, in a country that is affected by the Queen, you normally get a telegram saying that you're 100 and direct from the Queen, congratulations on getting 100, etc. So I don't think that happens in the United States so much. And now that the Queen is dead, you get King Charles. So it's going to be weird. But I think he's going to be busy writing a lot of telegrams because
I think so too. I hope so.
indeed, right. So we can be 100. We can live a beautiful life with the right habits. And Andrea, you're an amazing woman. You are out there to help people do exactly that. That is, you have written a book. Tell us a bit about Plan to Recover.
Yeah. So Plan to Recover is a 90-day mini journal, and it allows people to identify 3 habits they either want to increase or really attune to or decrease.
Yeah.
So again, it's about implementing healthy habits. So it might be, I want to add in 64 ounces of water a day. I want to take out marijuana. I want to go for a 30-minute walk and move my body 3 times a week. So maybe that's your 3. And you establish an AM routine and a PM routine that helps to support those new habits or your recovery plan. And then it's a daily journal that, again, holds you accountable and then kind of has some prompts. So it's a bullet journal that walks you through your daily victories, your daily struggles, giving yourself some compassion for the day. It actually has hungry, angry, lonely, tired in it. Here it is, the Plan to Recover. And you can circle which one was, if it had something to do with a daily struggle, was it connected to one of those triggers? So it's a daily journal, and it's 90 days, because in 90 days, if you're consistent with your journal, you will automate these new healthy habits. And, the next 90 days, maybe you choose something else or you expand upon that. But that's what the Plan to Recover journal is about. And I know we've talked about body betrayal trauma today, but that's another thing that I have out is an introduction to body betrayal trauma recovery. And that's a course that I've launched. And it's about how do I move through those stages of body betrayal recovery, and how do I come to a place of holistic integrity? And we talk a lot about holistic integrity in that, and how to access and bring back online all of our different brains or intelligence stations in our body. And so I've got that going on too. And so we're excited.
Beautiful.
We're busy at lightning in a bottle.
Beautiful. Well, that's right. And where can people find you, Andrea?
Yeah, so people can find the Plan to Recover mini journal on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon and put in Andrea Epting or Plan to Recover mini journal, and you can find that there. And if you're interested in visiting Lightning in a Bottle, visit our website and you can find our coaching programs, you can find our courses, and you can become part of our community. So I'd love to
Beautiful.
hear from you right there. Yeah.
Beautiful. And guys, look down there into the description of the YouTube video and of the podcast, because all of her information are in there. So what have you got to lose? Check her out. I love that plan to recover, the habit building support journal there, and that's fantastic. So
Well, I'm going to send you one. I'm going to send you one. You're going to get one in the mail. You just text me your address. You're going to get one.
yes, please, because that's exactly the 5-minute gardener principle, and that I so subscribe to. Imagine you do your 5 minutes in the garden every day, never less, never more, but every day 5 minutes. Imagine that after a week you see differences in the garden. After a month, I mean, your family thinks, wow, what's happening? And after 3 months, the whole bloody neighborhood will look over the fence and say, whoa. And that is, imagine you do that in a relationship, you do that with your food, you do that with your exercise. Oh, beautiful. Yes, please. I want to explore Plan to Recover. Yes, please. And I'm very, very happy to leave a review. No two ways around that.
Oh, yes.
Hey, that's brilliant. Andrea, thank you so much for all the work you're doing. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. That was wonderful today. And
you're so welcome. Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure spending time with you.
Likewise. And you guys out there, look after yourself and live with passion. Hey, bye.
I never give up. I never give up. I never give up. Turn around.